Yo, what up, everybody? Welcome back to the Comic-Con Podcast, episode 48. We are recording this on December 9th, 2021. Cold here in Jersey. I don't know what's going on in Texas, but it is, of course, one of your hosts. We got myself, Nemesis Prime, and coming all the way from half the country away, Zach. What's going on, buddy?
You know, the weather's pretty nice down here. It's like 60s, something like that. Not too bad. Little hungover today. It was my birthday yesterday, so I went out drinking.
Oh, that's right. We have a hungover person here today.
It was a
happy belated birthday. So everybody who's checking out the podcast, make sure you comment on our Instagram post and wish this man a happy birthday.
Thank you. So no, everything's good, man. Always glad to be back. One of the high points of the week, doing the podcast, and we got some good stuff this week, man. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, we're rounding out the end of the year, but we still are, rocking with some news. We definitely have some stuff. And just so you know, it actually just snowed here in New Jersey yesterday. It didn't really stick to my deck, but other than that, so it must be nice living in Texas, and it's 60 degrees. So
yeah, it is. It is very nice. 65 degrees right now is what my computer says.
Whatever. I'm warming up my car, like getting the icing off of my windshield in the morning. I let it heat up for like 20 minutes.
Oh, dude,
you don't know what that's like anymore.
And occasionally we get that like every once in a while, but yeah, that's the worst, dude.
So let's get right into some stuff we do have from our community. Of course, you can hit us up on our Instagram, the Comic-Con Podcast, or send us an email to the Comic-Con Podcast at gmail.com. We do have a really interesting question this time around, coming from our friend, I got it right here, Josh P. Shout out, guy. Hey guys, what's going on? Loving the podcast over the past 2 months. Was put on it by J2 Ramirez. Oh, and J2 Ramirez, if you guys don't know, he was part of the Comic Book Fiend Club, and he was actually a guest here.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah, that was definitely really good. So he says, really enjoying the podcast the past couple of months. My question to you guys is, you really just don't talk about a lot of speculation, but being that it's the end of the year and speculation of 2021 is over, what type of books are you guys specking on for 2022?
Man, so we don't talk a lot of spec on the podcast because we do a lot of spec stuff with Lords of the Long Box and the Cover Price show. But Justin and I are always talking spec books offline, pretty much. It's so hard to say these days. It's almost like it seems like anything can be a spec. I think I know. I feel like I know what you're going to come up with because there's a certain genre you've been hunting lately. And I feel like that's what you're going to pick, but like it's across the board, man. I'm like, what can be spec now? Because anything pops, random shit. But I think my big thing, I guess, if the ones I'm hunting, and not so much hunting right now, but I need to get back to it. I was doing it for a while, and I still think it's the way to go. Is I mentioned it before on one of the episodes. I think the books to pick up right now are some Silver Age Fantastic Four stuff. Obviously, like Black Panther, you're priced out of that, the Galactus, the Silver Surfer stuff. But I think the books out there that are going to hold some value, man, that you can get like relatively cheap and good priced is the like Fantastic Four number 18 for Super Scroll, or even issue number 20, First Molecule Man. So I think Fantastic Four, obviously coming to the MCU, is going to open up, a lot of things. And, Doctor Doom will be there, Galactus, those guys. But look, man, we got Skrulls are coming up heavy in the MCU here soon, right? Like we know a lot with the Secret Wars and all that stuff going on. We're going to see a lot of Skrulls. So why would you not have the Super Skrull? So I think Super Skrull, and then the Molecule Man is honestly one of the most powerful people in the Marvel universe. So both those books are, pretty easy to get. Like they're not horribly outpriced right now, and those are kind of the ones that I'm still looking at the most. How about you?
I definitely think you've seen them in like conventions. Not to say you may even find them at a shop, because they're books that are maybe people are only picking up just really for collecting Fantastic Four. But I agree with you that they're not crazy prices, and you can definitely find them. I'm sure even if you went on like Metropolis Comics website, you could find like those two books, or like any of those online retailers that are heavy into like the Silver Age back issues.
I had picked up, I have 2 copies of 18. and I like what do I got him at? Like a 3.0 and a 2.5, right? And I think I got him for, let's see, 175, 150 at the time. And I'm cruising eBay right now as we're talking about this, and I'm looking at like a 2.5 right now at like $500. Buy it
Mhm.
now for a 5.0 at 1,400. I mean, here's the problem too. It's always tough with the spec game. It's like these books are obviously, these are old books, so they're going to be high priced, and especially with the way the market is now, dude. Like you can't find these. Everyone's getting priced out of everything Silver Age
Mhm.
anymore. So I guess these are kind of like a higher end spec book, I would say, for sure.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. And I feel like that's how I see a lot of people and what the prices are going for on like Batman books, like all these
Right.
Silver Age first appearances. And I mean, I'm so glad I picked them up when I was hunting like the Batman Rogues and just trying to get the collection together
Yeah.
for like running my collection. I'm like, I was paying peanuts on the dollar for these DC keys, and now it's like, and I always
Exactly,
wanted to,
dude.
and I always wanted to upgrade some of them, and I look at my wall behind me right now, and I have my Detective and Batman Silver Age, first appearances of all these characters. I can't even upgrade like my first Silver Age Riddler. It's just because he's going to be in the movie. It's like an outpriced book.
Yeah.
My Silver Age Scarecrow, I'd love to upgrade. It's like a 5.5. I'd like to hit at least like a 7.5 would be nice. But I'd have to like either come up with cash and trade or like sell that and then just save for like a higher grade, because soon as they show him, he's gonna just be somewhere. He's
Yeah.
like that book is gonna be crazy. Like I can't touch Riddler anymore. And I have like a shitty little 4.0 that I'd love to upgrade to something higher. But
Yeah, man. That's the hobby right there too, is always looking back and be like, damn it, I should have done that back then, because now I can't do it now. Like it's
yeah.
just, I mean, we talked about on a previous episode, my whole like saga with the Fantastic Four #1. I was bored the other day and I was just looking on eBay and I saw like a 1.8 or some shit like that, Fantastic Four, at like $15,000. It's just, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to get that book now at this point.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad like certain books I've upgraded a few times. Like my first Poison Ivy, I've upgraded twice to like a 7.5. And I'm happy with a 7.5. I think that's great for a 60s book.
mhm.
My first Zatanna, same thing. I think she's at like a 7.5, between a 7 and an 8 CGC. I forget off the top of my head, but I've upgraded that twice. My first Mr. Freeze is a 3.5. I would love to get that higher, but that's not happening. And I really don't think there's any other books like in the collection that I'm really like, oh, I would want to upgrade. I think I've done a good amount of upgrading for the key characters, but some of
Yeah.
those older Batman books are ones that I want to upgrade. So, um, let me get through my specs.
Yeah.
So for me, I know I think you were under the interpretation that I was going to take video games, right?
I was. Yeah, because you've been hunting
Okay.
those a lot lately.
Yeah, I just think it's because the video game stuff is so low print run,
Yeah.
and with everything between like Paramount Plus getting Halo next year and Disney Plus and Hulu and everything, you're seeing a lot more of the video games come through and even the movies. So yeah, I guess speculation on video game type of books because I'm sure they're all super low print run, but actually that's not for me. And this is really something that we talked about last week, and I guess I've been like trying to find them over the past couple weeks is, a lot of this New Agents of Atlas stuff. So like White
Oh, okay.
Fox, Luna Snow, like the New Agent, the War of the Realms, New Agents of Atlas #1 and #2 are still very cheap. So if you want to get like Swordmaster, we talked about it last week.
Mhm.
Swordmaster is probably going to be Iron Fist, so that book will pop a little bit more. Um, Contest of Champions #1 is a book that if I can find it at 5-10 bucks, I pick it up for White Fox. I think she's a cool character. I told you this week that I just picked up a full run of Swordmaster 1 to 12
Yeah.
for like 50 bucks, which was a steal. And I think that's a great series. I haven't read it, so it'll probably end up being on what am I currently reading within the next couple weeks once I actually read it. But yeah, for 1 to 12, and 9 and issues number 9 and 12 are kind of keys as well because it's the first cameo appearance and first full appearance of his brother, and we haven't seen his brother at all. So that's something that, and he hasn't met his brother, so, or hasn't seen his brother in a really long time. uh I could see him being a villain, so I
Yeah.
think if he becomes Iron Fist, that's like a good yin and yang to him. um But yeah, I think any of those characters have the potential to be, and especially now with like Disney Plus, it just changed the game
Right.
for everything. So
Any
like you can
property can get
do,
picked up. Yeah.
yeah, like you could do a new Agents of Atlas or that, that Korean Asian team
Hmm.
to Philippine, superheroes. You could get all those characters and be on a Disney Plus show, and it would just be like, wow, like
Right.
that is the exact way to go. And not to do like a movie, or not to say that they can't show up in a movie, but we have, I guess this is not really an article that we're going to talk about, but there was a quick rumor that, the Shang-Chi sequels and there's stuff in the works for Disney Plus, which I'm sure we all know is going to be like the hand, right?
Right.
So that's what it is. Even if someone's introduced in a movie, but then the spin-off is Disney Plus. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Disney Plus provides that medium to test out these like not so well known properties. You know what I mean? And if they do well, you bump them up to a live action movie. Like a
mhm,
theatrical movie. Um, but if not, you keep them on the Disney Plus and you do the little series, dude. I mean, everything's hitting. Honestly, it's just there's so much success with Marvel. I don't know if there's any property that could fail because everyone just watches regardless. You know what I mean? It's almost like we have
mhm,
become so like we're all part of this Marvel cult now that like no matter what they put out, we're gonna watch continuously.
mhm.
So, because
Like,
you
have you
want
ever
to know.
seen that? Have you ever seen they had like a teaser that chick that does, I guess, the AT&T commercial. She was supposed to be
Yeah, Squirrel Girl, right?
Squirrel Girl, and then like
Yeah,
she posted a video on her Instagram of her daughter watching her in the pilot episode that never aired.
yeah,
And I'm sure that probably would have been good. Like, there's girls and women out there that read Squirrel Girl the series and would have loved to seen that series. So
right.
I don't know. Was it the right time? Who knows?
Probably
But
not because that was still like a Hulu property, I think, right? I think that was during the Hulu days. Was
yeah,
that
I
was
guess
New
so.
Warriors was supposed to come out on
Yep.
Hulu?
Yeah, you're right.
So yeah,
But
cool.
that's a great
So
question. Great
yeah,
question for 2022. So, if you are listening to the podcast and want to send us questions like that or articles, again, direct messaging right to our Instagrams, either one of my Instagrams or Zach's or the Comic Con podcast Instagram, or again, like Josh, we got it from right from our email. So the Comic Con podcast at gmail.com.
nice.
Let's
Yeah, I love
move
getting questions,
on.
man.
Yeah, that's what we like to talk about. And we'll definitely have things to talk about whenever we get questions and speculation. So let's moving on to some of our topics for the evening. Let's get right into it. We'll go with some of our TV and movie news first. So first up, this is a rumor mill. This is over at cbr.com or so. Um, if anybody checked out that show called Why the Last Man, I didn't. It got canceled. But there's an article over at cbr.com saying that it may get a second season, thanks to Disney. So Fox, of course, on Hulu may have been FX may have been canceled, but rumors are suggesting that Disney's streaming service may be picking it up for a season 2. It's
S-
being currently shopped around, but with that being said, it's going to be rebranded as a Hulu or Disney Plus original.
Interesting.
Hmm.
So I watched like the first 3 or 4 episodes, I think.
Mhm.
It was okay, man. Like I wasn't. I didn't. I've never read Why the Last Man, so I didn't. I
Mhm.
kind of came into it pretty clean, which is kind of what I wanted. Like when I heard about it, I was like, okay, maybe I need to read this before the show. And I was like, you know what? Let's just enjoy the show, like without reading it. Maybe I'll come back and read it later. But it was okay, man. It wasn't great. And then when they canceled it, when they were like, "Hey, we're not renewing," I just stopped watching. Like I lose interest at that point. Like I'm like, oh, well, then there's no. If it's not a great show, and if they're canceling it, like, why am I continuing to watch it? And even if it is a great show and they're canceling it, it's kind of that would really piss me off too. Like, well, why do I want to keep watching this if it's not going anywhere? So
Exactly.
um I don't know, dude. I don't really care about that. They bring it back. I don't feel like it fits for Disney Plus though. I mean, obviously we think about everything in terms of the MCU.
Mhm.
But even like I don't know. I don't know, dude. It seemed like it honestly I didn't think the show was gonna do well anyway. Like it's post-apocalyptic. I feel like we've moved past that genre a little bit, right? So like you go back to like The
I don't know.
Walking
We're
Dead.
getting The Last of Us on HBO, so
Right. Hey, it's that kind of that genre, that end of the world stuff, the viruses, and maybe that doesn't really go real well right now with COVID-19. Everyone's just like, look, dude, like, do I actually really want to watch a show about some virus that killed everyone when this is like what we're living daily, pretty much, like um maybe it was just poor timing. I don't know.
yeah, I definitely didn't watch it, but maybe I'll check it out if they confirm a season 2. I'll definitely have to watch it. But real quick, it kind of like how you were just saying how it's kind of like a COVID thing and related. Just before we started recording, my wife and I we were watching Elf,
Yeah.
and to see so that movie came out in 2003. To see New York City in 2003, to think what it looks like now, I'm like, ooh, it's such a shithole. So anybody who's here on the East Coast knows, if you know how bad New York is now compared to what it was 20 years ago. Oh,
Such a
gosh.
great movie though. It's like the best Christmas movie.
Oh yeah, it's phenomenal. One of Will Ferrell's best. So
Yeah.
um
So there was another show though that we wanted. What was the other one that was getting like canceled or something? Oh, Cowboy Bebop.
yes, this has just been announced today by
Yeah.
Netflix.
Yeah. So I don't know if anyone watched. I don't. You hadn't started watching it yet, right?
I did not. I just binged another show that we're actually going to talk about next. So
Yeah. So I wanted to watch it. I hadn't got around to it, but then yeah, we looking at articles today, and I see Cowboy Bebop canceled. I don't know why though. Let me see if I can find that article again. But so now at this point, I'm kind of also like, what's the point now of watching it?
yeah, it's like I never I think I've talked about this. I've never watched the anime, even though I'm big into animation.
Mhm.
But the fact that now I don't really need to invest some time into it, I just I don't know.
Right.
I really don't need to sit down and watch it because I'd rather watch something else that's going to be kind of moving forward. So yeah, Variety is just reporting that it's canceled after one season.
Yeah.
They really don't go into details.
Looks like it didn't get
Um,
very good reviews. It's kind of
no.
what I'm reading here is that the viewership went down for sure. And like
Mhm.
56% positive audience score on the site. So
Hmm.
I don't think it was well received. Um, that's too bad, man. It's always sad to see like these adaptations because you want everything to succeed because I mean the truth of the matter is the more of these succeed then the more risks we get to take
Yep.
for stuff like Agents of Atlas or like these properties that you would never expect to get so um yeah, man, I don't know, maybe I'll check it out. I really like John Cho. I think he's awesome, so maybe we'll still check it out if I get
I
some
didn't know that it
downtime.
was only going to be one season. Like I know the anime is a lot of episodes, so I didn't think they were going to just do everything into one season.
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't know
but
anything about the anime.
yeah, like I said, I know it, but I don't never seen it. From all
Right.
the animation that I've watched, probably over the past 25 years, I just never got into Cowboy Bebop. But speaking of Netflix stuff, I actually and it just came out recently. I think it came out last week, if not the week before. But Super Crooks came
Mhm.
out on Netflix, and it was 13 episodes long. Uh, the the comic book series from Mark Miller, whatever you want to say, was only 4 issues. So them taking a 4-issue series and expanding it into 13 episodes was mind-blowing. Like I'll tell you that I it's kind of what am I currently reading is the Super Crooks because I actually went back and read the issues. I read the issues when they first announced the series and it just kind of, went away. But then
Yeah.
when the series came out and I watched like the first 6 episodes in one day, I ended up rereading the series and I was just like, none of this is in the everything that none I was like, everything that's in the book is not in the animation. So they really expand on all the characters and there's a lot more stuff that happens in the show that does not happen in the book for the better.
Mhm.
Definitely for the better. But then I will say that the final like 2 or 3 episodes is pretty much is verbatim and down to the T of like their dialogue from that 4-issue mini. So
Gotcha.
it's great because it's set in the world of Jupiter's Legacy. So you do see like the Utopian, you do see the Brainwave, you see the Utopian's wife, Lady Liberty, you see their son, and sometimes it's just like on screen, like in the news. But there is one episode where the majority of the League of Justice or whatever they're called, they're actually fighting. So it's
Yeah.
really interesting that it's still like in that Malar world, and I think it's even like every time you do they do the opening credits, it'll say like Malar world. So we know that obviously Jupiter's Legacy got canceled. We have this Super Crooks, and then the next one I believe is going to be Nemesis, which is another book that people are like speculating on. But I thought it was a great series. 13 episodes. That's all it's going to be. The reason why I liked it so much was because it's different. It's not superheroes. It's super villains. So it's like getting to see the other side of things. Like
it's like a big heist, right? Kind of like theme.
yes,
Yeah.
it's very Ocean's 11
Yeah.
towards the end, but just the idea of like the super villains, like always wanting to steal stuff, and then what do they do in their downtime, and how they're always like worried that the superheroes are going to come, and it's a very good show. I will say that like I said, for them taking a 4-issue limited series, like expanding it to 13 episodes, and really even like exploring a lot more of the main characters and even sub characters, changing it up a little bit, they did a really good job. And I recommend it for anybody out there. Even though, yes, it's animation, and if you're not a big fan of animation, regardless, I recommend sitting down. They're only like 25 minutes a piece. Like you can definitely do it in 2.5, 3 days. So I highly recommend watching Super Crooks.
Cool. Yeah, I checked it out. I looked at I watched the trailer and stuff. The animation's not really my thing. Like that version of it's kind of like an older animation, right? Like almost a little dated. So I wasn't crazy about the animation, but I think I will check it out. I haven't started watching it yet though.
It's interesting. No, it definitely I don't know if I wouldn't say dated. I definitely think it's modern
Yeah,
animation. It's not like you're used to like the What If series or like Into the
right.
Spider-Verse type of stuff. But it's definitely there's some great things that happen that actually made me laugh a lot. And then when I was reading or rereading Super Crooks, there's a lot of stuff that they literally take right out of the comic dialogue. Like there's this one part where one of the crooks is meeting with um, when they're going to do this heist, and he literally says, "I have to go to the bathroom. I have to take a number two." Like that's literally in the comic. He literally has like his finger up. And he's like, "Excuse me, sir." He's like, "I need to go to the bathroom," and it's a number two. And it's just so funny. And there's other things that happen, but I recommend it for 13 episodes. You can definitely get through it within a week. So
Cool.
let's move on to some other TV news. You had something that just got posted today, a little tease.
Oh yeah, so Marvel is teasing the Captain Carter series. So obviously, with What If, we got Peggy Carter as Captain Carter. And this article doesn't have a lot of information. I guess I would assume that it's going to be an animated version, since that's kind of what we got with the with Captain Carter in the What If series. But they are saying reporting for duty March 2022. So some form of Captain Carter is going to come out. Actually, as this article also says, more information on Friday, December 10th. So you guys will be listening to this episode on Friday, December 10th, most likely. Look it up at that point. We're probably going to get some more info tomorrow on this. So we're actually recording this, like Justin said, on the 9th. So we'll see a little bit more where she's going to be. But it was pretty cool. The Captain Carter stuff was awesome. We had the teaser at the end of What If where she found Steve still alive in the that like Iron Man suit or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, it shouldn't be any surprise that she's coming back. What's also interesting though is we've always said this, that you follow the books, man. Follow the books, and what you see in the books, don't be surprised that you're going to start seeing in the television shows and vice versa, because Captain Carter is supposed to be showing up in Avengers Forever by Jason Aaron coming up here in December, later this month, the issue. And it's going to be like a multiverse type Avengers team taking on like a multiversal Masters of Evil as well, led by Robbie Ray as the Ghost Rider. So I think it's also going to have like Amadeus Cho, Beast, Black Knight, Monica Rambeau, Wonder Man, Vision, and Scarlet Witch. So, as well as Captain Carter. So, the reception was good. People liked it, and they're going to see more. I think we'll see more of it, and Marvel is going to do more with Captain Carter. Not sure if it'll be any kind of live action with, what's her name? Haley Atwell, right?
Yes.
Is the actress. Yeah. So, probably just animation, I would assume, but Yeah, we'll get more information tomorrow, Friday, December 10th, on that.
Nice. So let's get into some comic book news. First and foremost, there was one of the articles that we're going to talk about, but I guess we were wrong last week of Into the Spider-Verse when we were going to see some footage. So if you listened to the podcast on Friday or maybe Saturday morning of last week, you were surprised. But if you listened to it after Saturday and heard us say, oh, well, maybe they should show the footage on No Way Home trailer, and you already saw the trailer for Into the Spider-Verse or Across the Spider-Verse Part 1, well, we were wrong. So it happens. Like, we're not...
Rarely does it happen, but it did happen this time.
Yeah. So, we tried, we guessed, and we were wrong. So if I knew that Brazilian Comic-Con or whatever it was, Sony's thing, I would have said, oh, it's this weekend.
Yeah.
But anyway, so regarding sticking with some Spider-Man news, so I feel like we talked about this earlier this year that they, of course, did a 10-year anniversary on Miles, but coming in February is the 30th anniversary of Spider-Man 2099. So over at GamesRadar.com, Marvel Comics gears up to celebrate 30 years of Spider-Man 2099 in 2022. Writer Steve Orlando seems to be teasing a comic book return for future movie star Spider-Man number 2099. So he posted on his Instagram and Twitter back on the 6th, which was Monday. He said, was it me or was it everybody talking about spiders this week? And someone fill me in. So basically, and he teased off a couple of panels showing off an artist, Paul Fry, of a Spider-Man 2099 series that's going to be coming out next year. So we have the 30th anniversary of Spider-Man 2099, which makes me feel really old because I remember when he first came out, when he was like the flagship of like the 2099 series.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So this is also 30-year anniversary of the 2099 because that was the start of it.
Yeah. The Ghost Rider, Punisher,
Doom, Hulk,
yeah, like
X-Men.
What was that?
Ravage.
All the Hammer. What was that? Was that right? That was the name of that mini series they did. Crossover. Fall the Hammer. I think.
I never read the 2099 stuff.
Oh yeah, I did. I definitely did X-Men, Spider-Man, and Ghost Rider.
And then they had that Ravage 2099, right? He was like a new character. Yeah,
that was.
I'd love to see. I'd love the 2099 in some kind of like a collected edition. Like an omnibus. I would like to read the whole 2099 run. Be fun. Maybe.
So, yeah, I'm surprised they haven't. To be honest, I can't believe they haven't done that. But so Steve says that something's coming out next year. Interestingly enough, it's only impending stories setting up in January, because in January he's got the Marauders annual #1, which is setting up some stuff to bringing back the X-Men 2099 villains Brimstone Love and the Theater of Pain in their first non-2099 appearance. So some big things, I guess, are happening for the 2099 characters next year in 2022, which is really interesting because I feel like this year, on the flip side, you had DC who had you had the 80th anniversary of Joker,
like Batman stuff. Yeah. Pretty much all the Batman characters. Yeah.
Wonder Woman,
Catwoman,
the Robins.
Yeah.
And we're celebrating 10 years Miles and 10 years of Spider-Man.
Well, and next year also, I think, is we talked about this on a previous episode, 50th anniversary of Ghost Rider.
Yes.
2022 is supposed to have a lot of Ghost Rider stuff as well.
Yeah, that's going to be a big thing. We saw the art for Mark Brooks that had that big splash page of all the different versions of Ghost Rider. Yeah, I like that a lot.
That was cool.
So other than the Spider-Man 2099 news, I think you got something as well, right?
Yes, man. Finally, X-Men stuff, man. It's been a while since we got any good X-Men information. So if you are reading the X-Men run, obviously this is, the Krakoan age is kind of what they're calling it, the Hickman age, if you will, as well. And it's kind of coming to an end, and we're moving towards what they're going to be calling the second Krakoan age. Right now we have some really good runs. We have the Trial of Magneto. We have Inferno. A lot of things that are occurring in the X-Men world that are going to change the status quo moving forward. So coming up here shortly in 2022, we're going to have the next little form, like I said, the second Krakoan age, Destiny of X, all new titles, revamping, relaunching of some of the other titles, which I'll get to. But one of the big writers coming over is one of Justin and I's favorite writers, Kieran Gillen, coming back to the X-Men. So yeah, he used to write in the Uncanny X-Men. Oh, God, man, a while ago. It's been a minute. So, but he's coming. He's going to be taking over the Immortal X-Men title, which is supposed to be kind of like a partner flagship title to the ongoing X-Men run. But I'll just go ahead and tell you what the different titles coming up are. So we're going to have Immortal X-Men, which is supposed to be kind of focusing a little bit on, I think, more like the Quiet Council and the politics behind Krakoa. It probably will have a lot about the Five and the resurrection protocols and all that kind of stuff. We're going to get the Marauders. We'll be relaunching with an issue number 1, but we're going to have a new team, the Marauders. So we'll have Bishop and Kate Pryde are the only ones who are sticking around from the previous team. We'll now have Psylocke, Daken, Tempo, Aurora, and Somnus will also be joining. And they're also saying an unexpected new recruit as well. So the Marauders is going to start over there at issue 1. We'll have X-Force will continue going. I don't think they're starting that one over as well. A new title called Knights of X that they're kind of thinking might be the replacement for Excalibur, which is ending here shortly with issue 26. We will also have X-Men, the flagship title, which is Cyclops' team that are operating out of New York City. We have Legion of X, which is probably coming right off the tail of the Way of X miniseries. It's going to be focusing on Legion, probably a lot of Nightcrawler, and just kind of this idea of creating this religion, so to speak, for the new Marvel world. So if you haven't read Way of X and the Onslaught Revelation one-shot, you definitely need to read that before the Legion of X. Then we're going to have ongoing Wolverine, of course. New Mutants will continue ongoing. And then the last title that we'll be getting is X-Men Red. And not really sure what X-Men Red is going to have to do with. It might be taking over some of the stuff that's going on in the Sword issues. And obviously being X-Men Red, it might be more tied into Mars and all the stuff that's going on that the mutants have taken over Mars. So it might be very much Storm-led type book. But a lot of changes, man. A lot of things that are supposed to move or change going forward in this second Krakoan age. Hickman's kind of leaving the X-Men. So what he's set in place is now going to be taken on by Kieran Gillen and other writers. And it's awesome, man. I've really enjoyed it. And there's been obviously, just like everything, some of the titles have floundered a little bit, but for the most part, the X-Men universe is awesome. Honestly, I don't know how. I'm always scared, like when any title does like something new and big like this, right? Like changes the landscape of X-Men. Like, how do you go back?
Yeah.
How do we ever just go back to them operating in the fucking Xavier Institute? Now that they're on like Krakoa and they're resurrecting each other, and like I don't know how you ever go back to that. So, but it's awesome, man. It's really, really cool stuff.
And where's that article? Just so in case anybody wants to find it to read all those titles.
So yeah, you can find it on IGN. I think that's the one I'm reading off of is IGN right now. I saw some articles on CBR as well that are talking about it. So this is all going to be starting, I believe, in February. I think February is when Destiny of X kind of kickstarts. So
I like Marvel for one reason or another, but I like Marvel how they always have like that. Like there's their properties, so there's like the whole X-Men universe. So like even if you're not invested into like the Spider-Man people or like Daredevil or Fantastic Four or Doctor Strange, like you can be invested in just the X universe.
Yeah.
Just read that. And it's simple. Like there's so many characters. You don't have a lot of obviously you don't have a lot of just like throwaway, just normal humans. Everyone's a mutant. So it's like really cool to read.
Oh yeah, dude. And everyone's back, man. That's what's so cool that's what I'm loving the most about these X titles is picking up an issue and just having like these random characters that you haven't seen since like the 90s, like Nanny and Orphan Maker. I mean, they were awesome in this ongoing Hellions that just ended. Like the Hellions run was great. It was a bunch of like ragtag villains and like crappy characters that they put on a team together. And it worked, man. I'm loving how everyone's kind of coming back, dude. It's been a lot of fun.
Awesome. So I think that's all the articles that we have for today. Unless Zach, you have anything else?
I have one more. So a funny little Hawkeye Disney Plus story here. So spoiler alert. I'm gonna give you guys a countdown: 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, going to spoil the most recent episode of Hawkeye. We had an appearance of a character from the Black Widow movie. We had Florence, and Justin and I have been struggling with how do you pronounce her last name? Pugh. So Florence Pugh showed up as Yulina Belova in the recent episode of Hawkeye. But that's not really what we're talking about. What we want to talk about is she posted on Instagram and someone flagged it and she got taken down, her Instagram post. So I'm going to read her post. She wrote, "I never thought me posting love about a show in which I appear on would get taken down, but here we are. Someone on here complained. So I've been blocked from posting my own appearance on a show that I'm very much in. Beyond ridiculous. Being in #Hawkeye is a privilege, and thank you to all who welcome me on set and off and all who are watching." So, dude, the Gestapo, they're out there. You can't post on shit anymore about Marvel, bro. They'll take you down. And she probably posted it like the day it came out, like she didn't ruin anything. And they shut her account down about posting about her own appearance, which is crazy. But super excited to see her. Can't wait for next week's episode, which is supposed to break the internet, is what they're saying. Episode 5. So what are your thoughts on her being silenced on Instagram?
I don't know, man. I think that's just pretty messed up. Like the fact that you have a character who's already been established. You knew she was going to be in the show because it was not speculated. They basically said that Yelena Belova would be back. We saw her at the end of Black Widow. You knew she was going to be coming after Hawkeye. And the fact that she's getting basically bitched at by stupid trolls on the internet because she posted something literally the day they got released. Like, people should be happy. Like, I'd be super happy if I was on a show because we all know coming next week, the episode 5 is supposed to break the internet, according to what people are saying. So are we going to see Kingpin and then Vincent D'Onofrio post about it? Because he's been very vocal. He has been super vocal between saying, stuff about the show and Charlie Cox being back as Daredevil. So he's definitely...
There's something going on. Yeah. And, and we talked about this on the first couple episodes too, like the uncle, they kind of mentioned it again in this recent episode, the big man.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, we want to talk about the show because we don't want to spoil.
Yeah. We'll once the season's over, that's when we're going to talk about it again. Yeah. So yeah, whatever. It is what it is. People are babies. They're keyboard warriors. They just hit block or scam or spam, whatever on, Instagram posts. But
yeah, dude, if you don't want to be ruined, don't follow stars of shows. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, just don't do it.
Yeah.
So anyway,
whatever. All right. So let's move on to our final topic. Of course, how we always end our shows with what are we currently reading. This week was a huge week of books, tons of great reads. So for me, again, honorable mention, I reread Super Crooks, so definitely get out there. It's 4 issues. I'm sure you can find it in trade format, so if you want to read it before you go ahead and watch the show. But as far as what am I currently reading, I have 2 books that came out this week. The first book, which is, we talked about this earlier before it came out in the summer, which is Batman 89. So issue 4 just dropped this week. I caught up on issues 3 and 4 because I was kind of I was kind of waiting for them to come out, but so it's a 6-issue series for the Batman 89. Of course, you get the Tim Burton world, so it's Michael Keaton Batman. There is we get the first full appearance of the new Robin, I guess, Drake Winston. And of course, you have the Lando Calrissian of Harvey Dent. So, of course, he is teased on, I believe, the last cover as Two-Face. There's something that happens in issue 3 where, of course, his face gets, kind of burned off. But in this 4th issue, you finally get the reveal of Billy D. Williams as Two-Face. And I got to say, it's laughable. It's very... He looks so silly. It's so bad. And I don't know if I can finish the last 2 episodes or issues,
really?
I should say. Yeah, like it's really bad. I did like the first 2.5 issues, I guess I would say. It's, again, Michael Keaton's in there. You got Selena Kyle shows up. It's post like the Joker, but I like how Batman's working with Harvey Dent more because that's something that we really didn't see in the Burton verse, right? We saw Harvey Dent in like the first movie, and then the next
Right.
time we see Harvey Dent, it's Tommy Lee Jones, and he's a villain. So like nothing in Batman Returns. The next issue is kind of teasing that Selena Kyle is, Catwoman, but we've kind of already kind of seen that in flashbacks in the issues. So that's one of the books that I'm reading, and I'm sure this book is also on Zach's list. Was, of course, we're going to talk about Star Wars Crimson Reign #1.
Hmm.
I wasn't expecting this book to be good. I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if there's too much hype around it, or the fact that like
Bounty Hunter sucked so bad. That was what it was.
yeah, like yes, they brought back Kira, and everybody was like, that's out of the blue. But I don't know, man. Charles Soule just killed it, right?
Yeah.
Just going over the whole thing of Crimson Dawn, explaining the Sith and Darth Maul, and
Mhm.
what happened to him, and how kind of she took over, and you see little panels of everything. You see panels of Darth Maul with the crazy robotic legs. You see a little bit of Solo movie. They go into, of course, everything with Emperor Palpatine and Darth Vader, and how she wants them to die. And then throughout this entire issue, she's going through her like legion of bounty hunters that you saw at the end of, I guess, War of the Bounty Hunters 5. And you get a little bit more in depth of all these characters like Deathstick and Ochi and all these like the Knights of Ren. And I thought it was great. Charles Soule, I don't know, I just can't do anything wrong with the Star Wars books when he's writing them.
Yeah,
You read those, I know.
it was really awesome. Man, this week I felt like. Sorry, are you done? Sorry.
Yeah, well, I kind of wanted to bounce you off this.
Yeah,
I'm sure I
so
knew you read it, so
for sure, this week was great in general. But the Star Wars books, yeah, dude, the bounty hunter stuff has just been. It was lackluster. It was so boring. I feel like, and especially because you knew nothing was going to happen because you knew Han had to be back at Jabba's, by the end of the fucking run. So it was like it was anticlimactic. And then I've spoken before how the High Republic has kind of left me wanting, but the Crimson Reign came out and it was really, really cool. Even Star Wars #19 was awesome. I thought that issue was great. And I just loved how both issues kind of, like you said, kind of they went back and they hit points like in Solo and with Kira and stuff that we've seen, but then they also kind of like added more. So like you in Star Wars #19, you also got like, man, we saw like home worlds of like stuff that from Fallen Order. What was it? Illume? We saw like Luke go to Illume. We see him go to all these different places. We see him go to
so that was like,
Lothal. Yeah. And he even kind of says like, he's like, oh, it looks like I can't raise this place up because we know what happened in Rebels, So I thought it was really awesome, like the callbacks, if you will. And it's so interesting that in this universe where everything's already done, we know how it ends, they're still able to kind of do a little bit more, add a little bit more to the story and new stuff. I thought the Star Wars books this week were awesome. They were on point for sure.
Yeah, it's just so great how you came out of the and even Vader last week was good. You came out of this event, and when it's not an event like crossover tie-in, and we talked about this last week, the books are good.
Yeah.
Like the past 2 weeks with all three of these titles, they were great. I know Crimson Reign is just like a mini, but so have been, a lot of other the Marvel minis have been great. So it reintroduced a character that nobody thought they would see again, because you thought, well, Crimson Dawn is done after the Solo movie, and you figure, well, because Darth Maul was in league with it, like I guess it crumbled once the
Right.
Emperor took over and there was no more Darth Maul. But we get a little mention of Prince Sizor, and we haven't heard that name.
Hell yeah.
And haven't seen that person at all in Star Wars canon since the Dark Horse days of Shadows of the Empire.
And I'm gonna be honest, I went out and bought that book after I read that issue. I was like, I'm getting Prince Zizor's fucking first appearance, dude. So I went and got one. I got one coming in the mail.
I just sent issues #1 and #2 to CGC this week for Shadows of the Empire.
Nice.
Not because of this issue, but just because I don't have those 2 issues graded. So I was just like, I had the one, and I think #2 is actually a newsstand. So I just sent it in. I was like, whatever. I was like, they were super clean. They're the cardstock covers.
Right.
But what about you? What are you currently reading this week?
So one last thing about the Star Wars,
Yeah.
which it was obviously was so awesome, but which sucked was then, at the end it shows like, hey, well, these are the upcoming issues coming out, and then now I saw that the Crimson Reign tag or theme is going to be in Bounty Hunters and it's going to be in Dr. Aphra, and I'm like, God damn it! Now I'm going to have to pick up those books too. So because I don't actually have not enjoyed the Bounty Hunters title, and I don't like Dr. Aphra's title. I think both of them are hard to read. I just have not enjoyed them at all.
I thought Bounty Hunters was good until the event.
Yeah. The early issues weren't too bad, but then it just like I feel like I don't know the story is so like boring, and it's just every mission it's them going around, and it's Bosk and what's his name?
Valence.
Yeah, Valence or whatever. Yeah, and they just like. It's the same shit like every time. It's like, oh, we're betraying. It's like a heist movie. It's literally like a heist movie every issue. And it's like, oh, a betrayal and a betrayal and a betrayal. It's like that Rick and Morty heist episode. Like,
well, that's just the Bounty Hunters thing. I mean, they all.
It's just, I'm like, whatever, dude. It's boring to me. And then Aphra is just, I don't know. I find her obnoxious. I don't like the way they write her. I don't like her as a character. I loved her as a character when she showed up originally. But since then, since she's got like her own titles, I find her very unreadable. So, but anyway, so the other books, man, this week was crazy because I feel like the past 2 weeks I have struggled to find a book of like what I enjoyed currently reading. And then this week came out and I flew through all the books. Like Justin said, Crimson Reign, I mentioned Star Wars 19, Inferno, the X-Men book, Inferno number 3 was awesome. There's so much crazy shit going on in the X-Men world. One more issue left of Inferno. Hellions ended with issue 18, which was great as well. I talked about that earlier. Such a great run. Devil's Reign. I think that Devil's Reign is going to be my pick for this week. I mentioned it last week too, the Chip Zdarsky run on Daredevil. It was, I wouldn't say it's groundbreaking, but it was an awesome run. And this is right off the pages of his Daredevil run. So his Daredevil run ended, I think it was 36 issues, 37 with the annual. And then we have Devil's Reign miniseries. It's like a 6-part miniseries. And then it's going to have little like one shots as well. So it's continuing the story. Matt Murdock's out of jail. He has had like he had Kilgrave. Kilgrave's children had like wiped the memory of Kingpin, so they couldn't remember who Daredevil was. And Kingpin knows something's going on. So he's out there trying to figure it out. He's the mayor of New York, and it's very a la Civil War. Like we kind of get to the point where he puts the kibosh on superheroes, and we're seeing like all the street level heroes team up. You're very much seeing like the villains are now like the Thunderbolts kind of. Which is really cool.
It's called the Powers Act.
Yeah, the Powers Act. Yeah. And so you get all these villains are out there. We see Doc Ock take over the Baxter building, which we know there's going to be I think it's Frightful 4 miniseries that's tied into Devil's Reign. So just really cool stuff with this. Basically, it's a big battle between Daredevil and Kingpin, and heroes and all the villains like now working for the Kingpin. But there's going to be a lot of little miniseries. We're getting the Elektra Woman Without Fear run. It's a little, and that's actually going to be written by Chip Zdarsky as well, I believe. So it's cool, dude. Like if you like Daredevil, you need to be reading this Devil's Reign. I really suggest reading his run too.
I read the Devil's Reign. That was actually the first Marvel book that I picked up this week, and I thought it was definitely it was good. Like you said, the flipping of the villains being, kind of like martial law in a way. Like they come in and they, exactly like you said, what's his name? Otto jumping into the Baxter building and, taking down the Fantastic Four, or at least, some of them. And then you had, they went after Spider-Man and Jessica Jones and Luke Cage.
Yeah.
And then
so is that the Ben Reilly Spider-Man? That right?
Yes.
That's the new,
that's the new one that's in there.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a great pick for what are we currently reading. I really like the Devil's Reign this week. So
honorable mention. It's kind of old, but I just read the last issue, and I may have mentioned this before. There's a mini series called Vinyl from Image Comics. It's like a horror miniseries about like these serial killers, kind of like monster killer serial killers, guys. And it's really good, man. 6 issues. It's bloody. It's funny. Really, really enjoyed it, dude. It's check it out, man. I think you'll like it. You'll get a kick out of it too.
Who wrote it? You said it's Image, but
yeah, cripes. So he's not like a person that I knew like really well, and the name is moderately familiar. Okay, Plastic creators, Doug Wagner and Daniel Hilliard. So okay. Really cool. Image Comics, vinyl 1 through 6, and check it out. Let me know if you enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun. It was cool.
Yeah, I'll have to look for it at the LCS.
Yeah. So that's all I got this week. It was a great week, man. Now I'm kind of like, we're getting to the end of the year, and I'm worried. I guess we already had that week though, where you get all the annuals, right? So I don't have to. I feel like that's always at the end of the year where you get that one shitty week of comics, and it's like only annuals. So.
Yeah, December is 5 weeks. This is actually usually it rarely shows up as a 5th week in December, but so we have 5 weeks in December. So that's where last week came out, all those annuals for like DC and the Marvel stuff. So yeah, I mean that's it for episode 48 in the books. From myself, I don't have much. I think I may be hitting up the local show this weekend in New Jersey. I think it's Clifton. Probably run into some cats over there that I usually do some hunting.
Nice.
I think that's it. And then I have a huge Star Wars week next week on the Whatnot.
Oh yeah.
Whatnot's doing a huge event for Star Wars week. I think it's the 15th through the 19th of December. I am one of the headliners, as well as Mellow Fellow, Skeff's Comic Knowledge. Mr. Bolo is going to be a headliner. So there's like 7 or 8 different people that are doing headlining shows. So make sure you're following me. I have been holding back so much Star Wars books. If you are looking for badass runs, I'm going to have 2 complete sets of Vader, volume 1, volume 2. Tons of slabs, stuff that I've been like literally getting back from CGC and CBCF that I've been holding back for this sale. So bring your Republic credits. It's going to be huge. At least like a 3-hour show. It's probably going to be at least 3 hours. So 7 o'clock next Friday, the 17th, I believe, is next Friday. Let me just double check that. Make sure.
Yes,
yep,
Friday,
December 17th, 7 o'clock Eastern time. Huge Star Wars sale. What about you? Anything?
No, man, nothing big coming up down the pipe for us. Just keep in mind, if you're interested, the Kansas City Planet City Con in April 22nd to the 24th. We'll be doing that, and Justin and I will probably both be there. So, yeah, meet us up there sometime.
Oh, I was super happy this morning when I texted you, right? What I showed you this morning. Both Ashley Eckstein and Matt Latner are going to be at Planet City. So I'm definitely going to have to crack out something and get Ahsoka and Anakin Skywalker signed.
Yeah.
Something.
That'll be cool.
So I'm excited for that. But yeah, I think that's going to be a great show next year. So that's it for everyone here at the Comic-Con podcast. We'll catch you guys later. Peace out.